The final oscillation. Yeah. The final oscillation. The last wave sent. West Coast music, the finest intent. Talk box sending out the closing signal strong. The final oscillation. The last great song. Bass frequency, the ultimate transmission. The final oscillation. The finest mission. Yeah. Every wave must reach its final crest. The final oscillation, passing every test. Last signal from the West Coast tower tall. The final oscillation, encompassing all. Talk box operator on the final frequency. The final oscillation, broadcasting free. P-Funk lineage in the closing wave. The final oscillation, beyond the grave. Of what they said the West Coast could not do. The final oscillation, dedicated to you. Brothers in the studio for the final session. The final oscillation, the finest lesson. Drum machine, the last cadence of the night. The final oscillation, holding everything right. Synth bass, the ultimate vibration deep. The final oscillation, a promise we keep. The final oscillation, the last wave synth. West Coast music, the finest intent. Talk box sending out the closing signal strong. The final oscillation, the last great song. Bass frequency, the ultimate transmission. Yeah. The final oscillation, the finest mission. Yeah. Amplitude decreasing as the wave completes. The final oscillation making music replete with everything the West Coast ever meant. The final oscillation, the finest intent. Keyboard player at the final chord progression. The final oscillation carrying the session to its most complete and final form. The final oscillation beyond the norm. Brothers bearing witness to the closing wave. The final oscillation beyond the grave of ordinary music in its fleeting way. The final oscillation, the finest phrase in the long vocabulary of the groove. The final oscillation, the ultimate move. West Coast music in its most final state. The final oscillation, the groove is great. Between the last wave and the silence there is peace. The final oscillation, the finest release. West Coast music completing its art. The final oscillation, the most eternal spark. The oscillation slows but never fully stops. The final oscillation never fully drops to zero. The West Coast groove persists. The final oscillation, it always exists in some harmonic of the universe. The final oscillation, the finest verse of the West Coast gospel ever sung. The final oscillation, forever young. Bass frequency, the last undying note. The final oscillation, the finest quote. Talk box resonating into infinity. The final oscillation, the finest key to understanding what the groove always was. The final oscillation, the finest cause. West Coast music in eternal oscillation. The final oscillation, the finest foundation. The final oscillation, the last wave sent. West Coast music, the finest intent. Talk box sending out the closing signal strong. The final oscillation, the last great song. Bass frequency, the ultimate transmission. The final oscillation, the finest mission. The wave continues though the album ends. The final oscillation around all the bends. Yeah. West Coast music in perpetual motion. The final oscillation, the deepest ocean. A groove in science and the funk divine. The final oscillation, forever fine. The slow meridian taking its time. West Coast patience, the most sublime. Every note stretched to maximum duration. The slow meridian, the finest sensation. Talk box operator in no particular hurry. The slow meridian, no reason to worry. Bass frequency at its most deliberate pace. The slow meridian, the most sacred space. Brothers in the session, releasing all the rush. The slow meridian, the finest hush of everything that pushed too hard before. The slow meridian, always wanting more, but taking it slow to let the music breathe. The slow meridian, a promise we'll weave through the fabric of the West Coast night. The slow meridian, holding everything right. The slow meridian, patience is the key. West Coast longitude, moving gracefully. Talk box traveling the long way around. Slow meridian, the finest sound. Bass wave measured in the slowest time. Slow meridian, the most sublime. Midnight and the slow meridian deepens. The slow meridian, as the city sleeps, every chord allowed to fully resonate. The slow meridian, the groove is great. Synth pad hovering longer than it should. The slow meridian, doing what it could to show that beauty lives in slowness too. The slow meridian, dedicated to you. Keyboard player sustaining every note. The slow meridian, the finest quote about the value of the measured pace. The slow meridian, the most sacred space. Brothers learning patience from the groove. The slow meridian, finding its true mood. West Coast music at its most intentional. The slow meridian, the most exceptional. The slow meridian, patience is the key. West Coast longitude, moving gracefully. Talk box traveling the long way around. Slow meridian, the finest sound. Bass wave measured in the slowest time. The slow meridian, the most sublime. In the slowness, there is everything we need. The slow meridian, the truest creed. West Coast music measured in long time. The slow meridian, the most sublime. Pre-dawn hours and the meridian still move. The slow meridian, through all the grooves, at the pace that the music sets itself. The slow meridian, beyond all wealth. The fast and frantic notes compressed in time. The slow meridian, the most sublime. Talk box resonating through the slow night. The slow meridian, holding everything right. Brothers who stayed until the morning light. The slow meridian, the finest side of the West Coast groove at its most pure. The slow meridian, the finest cure for everything that rushes without care. The slow meridian, the music everywhere. Bass frequency, the final slow exhale. The slow meridian, beyond the veil. The slow meridian, patience is the key. West Coast longitude, moving gracefully. Talk box traveling the long way around. The slow meridian, the finest sound. Bass wave measured in the slowest time. The slow meridian, the most sublime. As the dawn arrives, the slow meridian rests. The slow meridian, passing all the tests of time and patience and the groove demand. The slow meridian, across every land. Quantum lowrider, superposition of the beat. West Coast physics, making music complete. Talk box in 2 states simultaneously. Quantum lowrider, broadcasting free. Bass wave, both a particle in a sound. Quantum lowrider, the most profound. Schrodinger's lowrider, up and down at once. Quantum lowrider, no room for stunts. The car is both on hydraulics in the ground. Quantum lowrider, the most profound way to understand the West Coast groove. Quantum lowrider, locked into the move. Talk box and superposition, all frequencies at once. Quantum lowrider, no room for stunts. P-funk science in the quantum field. Quantum lowrider, the groove reveal. Brothers calculating in the quantum studio. Quantum lowrider, the finest show. Drum machine at multiple states of time. Quantum lowrider, the most divine. Bass frequency collapsing into the one. Quantum lowrider, the work is never done. Quantum lowrider, superposition of the beat. West Coast physics, making music complete. Talk box in 2 states simultaneously. Quantum lowrider, broadcasting free. Bass wave, both a particle in the sound. Quantum lowrider, the most profound. Entangled with the boulevard miles away. Quantum lowrider, hear what I say. 2 talk boxes in quantum correlation. Quantum lowrider, the finest sensation. Measuring one collapses, the other state. Quantum lowrider, nothing left to fate. West Coast quantum mechanics in the groove. Quantum lowrider, finding its move. Keyboard player at the uncertainty bound. Quantum lowrider, the most profound. Every note uncertain until observed. Quantum lowrider, more than we deserve. Brothers in the quantum studio of the West. Quantum lowrider, standing every test. The observer effect on the West Coast sound. Quantum lowrider, the most profound. Between the classical and quantum state of funk. Quantum lowrider, riding in the trunk. A possibility and probability. Quantum lowrider, the finest ability to be everywhere at once in the groove. Quantum lowrider, finding its move. Evening, and the quantum state collapses. Quantum lowrider, after all the lapses into certainty, the groove is real. Quantum lowrider, the finest feel. Bass frequency collapse to its final note. Quantum lowrider, the finest quote from the West Coast book of physics and the funk. Quantum lowrider, riding in the trunk. Brothers observing what the measurement revealed. Quantum lowrider, the groove's been sealed. P-funk lineage in the quantum chain. Quantum lowrider, beyond all the plane. Understanding of the ordinary sound. Quantum lowrider, the most profound. West Coast physics in its funkiest form. Quantum lowrider, setting the norm. Quantum lowrider, superposition of the beat. West Coast physics, making music complete. Talk box in 2 states simultaneously. Quantum lowrider, broadcasting free. Bass wave, both a particle and a sound. Quantum lowrider, the most profound. Quantum state, resolved as the session ends. Quantum lowrider, around all the bends. West Coast physics, in the groove alive. Quantum lowrider, the music will survive. Standing at the base of the Watts Towers high. Funk ascending all the way to the sky. Watt Towers, electricity and art. West Coast music, beating in the heart. Talk box operator, wire to the spire. Watt Towers, burning with desire. Bass frequency, the foundation of the steel. Watt Tower, the finest thing to feel. Built from found materials and pure belief. Watt Towers, bringing sweet relief. To everyone who wondered if the dream was real, White Towers, the finest thing to feel. Every mosaic tile, a note in the score. White Towers, always wanting more. P-funk science in the spiral structure. White Towers, the finest rupture of the ordinary world and its small concerns. White Towers, the thing that burns in the chest of every West Coast soul alive. White Towers, the way we survive. Talk box wire to the highest spire. White Towers, burning with desire. Drum machine, the heartbeat of the tower base. White Towers, the most sacred place. White Towers, electricity and art. West Coast music, beating in the heart. Talk box, operator wire to the spire. White Towers, burning with desire. Bass frequency, the foundation of the steel. White Towers, the finest thing to feel. 33 years building something true. White Towers, dedicated to you and all the ones who said it couldn't stand. White Towers, across every land, the towers rose above the neighborhood. White Towers, doing what they could to show the world that vision has no limit. White Towers, everything within it. Brother standing at the base looking up. White Towers, the finest cup of West Coast spirit ever poured and raised. White Towers, forever be praised. Synth-led spiraling like the tower's height. White Towers, burning fever bright. Keyboard player climbing every chord. White Towers, the musical reward. That's the intersection of the bottle glass and sky. White Towers, reaching ever high. West Coast music built from what was found. White Towers, the most sacred sound. Evening light catching the mosaic tile. White Towers, going the extra mile. Bass frequency, the steel beneath the art. White Towers, beating in the heart. Talk box resonating off the tower walls. White Towers, echoing down the halls of West Coast history and its finest hour. White Towers, the most sacred power. Brothers in the neighborhood maintaining the dream. White Towers, the finest thing ever seen. P-funk ancestors in the spiral steel. White Towers, the finest thing to feel. West Coast music built like the towers tall. White Towers, encompassing all from the foundation to the highest spire. White Towers, burning with desire. White Towers, electricity and art. West Coast music, beating in the heart. Talk box operator wire to the spire. White Towers, burning with desire. Bass frequency, the foundation of the steel. White Towers, the finest thing to feel. Towers standing as the evening falls complete. White Towers, making life replete. West Coast monument to vision and belief. White Towers, bringing sweet relief. Coastline equation, running to the sea. West Coast proof of what the music could be. Feel the theorem settling in the tide. West Coast mathematics on the evening ride. Something in the Pacific, always true. Proposition, the ocean shapes the sound. Pacific theorem, the most profound. Standing at the shoreline with the talk box hum. Pacific theorem, where it all comes from. Synth bass rolling like the Pacific swell. Pacific theorem, the finest thing to tell about the origins of the West Coast groove. Pacific theorem, finding its own move. Brothers proving points upon the sand. Pacific theorem, the most sacred land where the music and the ocean overlap. Pacific theorem, reading from the map of everything that California gave. Pacific theorem, beyond the grave, a winter and the summer and the tide. Pacific theorem, the West Coast guy. Feel the theorem settling in the tide. West Coast mathematics on the evening ride. Pacific theorem, the ocean knows. West Coast music, the tide always flows. Talk box waiting in the shallow end. Pacific theorem, around every bend. Bass wave rolling like the Pacific deep. Pacific theorem, a promise we keep. Yeah, afternoon in the Pacific theorem holds. Pacific theorem, the story never old. Every wave a measure of the groove. Pacific theorem, locked into the move. Talk box voice the cry of the seabird high. Pacific theorem, reaching for the sky. Drum machine the rhythm of the tidal pool. Pacific theorem, making music for brothers gathered at the ocean's edge. Pacific theorem, standing on the ledge of what the West Coast music always meant. Pacific theorem, totally content with the formula the Pacific gave. Pacific theorem, beyond the wave of ordinary music and its ways. Pacific theorem, finest of our days. Between the theorem and the ocean there is truth. Pacific theorem, the eternal proof. West Coast music in its most essential form. Beyond the storm, evening tide and the theorem comes to rest. Pacific theorem, putting it to test one final time before the sun goes down. Pacific theorem, the finest crown of West Coast achievement in the groove. Pacific theorem, this is how we move. Bass frequency, the depth of the Pacific floor. Pacific theorem, always wanting more. Talk box resonating with the ocean's call. Pacific theorem, encompassing all. Brothers watching as the sun meets the sea. Pacific theorem, setting music free. Peak funk lineage in the tidal wave. Pacific theorem, beyond the grave of lesser music and its ordinary ways. Pacific theorem, the finest phrase. Pacific theorem, the ocean knows. West Coast music, the tide always flows. Talk box waiting in the shallow end. Pacific theorem, around every bend. Bass wave rolling like the Pacific deep. Pacific theorem, a promise we keep. Theorem proven as the tide comes in. Pacific theorem, where does it begin? And where does it end? Only the ocean knows. Pacific theorem, the music always flows.
Chrome finish on the harmonic series tonight.
With the chrome harmonic,
Catching all the light.
the chrome harmonic, polished to a sheen. West Coast music at its finest gleam. Talk box chrome, reflecting every note. The chrome harmonic, the finest quote from the West Coast book of funk and style. The chrome harmonic, going the extra mile.
Harmonic series polished like a bumper bright. The chrome harmonic glowing in the night. Every overtone a mirror of the soul. The chrome harmonic making music whole. Talk box operator with a chrome plated voice. The chrome harmonic, the finest choice. P-Funk science shining in the spectrum. The chrome harmonic, we'll never forget them. Brothers in the studio polishing the sound. The chrome harmonic, the most profound West Coast music with a chrome exterior. The chrome harmonic, nothing inferior. Bass frequencies, the chrome foundation lay. The chrome harmonic, the finest grade, scently gleaming in the upper range. The chrome harmonic, familiar yet strange.
The chrome harmonic, polished to a sheen. West Coast music at its finest gleam. Talk box chrome, reflecting every note. The chrome harmonic, the finest quote from the West Coast book of funk and style. The chrome harmonic, going the extra mile.
Afternoon light catching on the harmonic chrome. The chrome harmonic carrying us home. Every frequency reflecting back the truth. The chrome harmonic, the most eternal proof that West Coast music shines above the rest. The chrome harmonic, standing every test. Keyboard player touching the chrome keys. the chrome harmonic.
Doing as it please.
Drum machine percussion like a chrome wheel spin, the chrome harmonic.
Letting music in.
West Coast Boulevard shining after rain, the chrome harmonic.
Running through the veins
Of the groove and the culture
and the sound.
the chrome harmonic.
The most profound. Brothers watching as the chrome tone
The
rings.
chrome harmonic.
Spreading its wings.
In the reflection of the chrome harmonic, we see the West Coast music supersonic, polished and precise and burning bright. The chrome harmonic, the finest light. Evening, and the chrome harmonic cools. The chrome harmonic, obeying its own rules. Bass frequency, a chrome undertow. The chrome harmonic, the finest glow.
Talk box resonating through the chrome night.
The chrome harmonic,
Holding everything right.
brothers at the sessions and reviewing what they made. The chrome harmonic, nothing going to fade.
Folk heritage polished in the tone.
The chrome harmonic,
Standing all alone
at the top of what the West Coast ever built. The chrome harmonic,
without any guilt.
for being the finest thing we ever made. The chrome
The
harmonic,
most sacred grade.
West Coast music chrome from start to end. The chrome harmonic, round every band.
The chrome harmonic, polished through a sheen. West Coast music at its finest gleam. Talk box chrome, reflecting every note.
The chrome harmonic,
The finest quote from the West Coast book of funk and style.
the chrome harmonic,
Going the extra mile.
chrome cooling as the evening takes the sky. The chrome harmonic,
A warm and bright goodbye. West Coast music, polished and preserved.
the chrome harmonic.
Everything we deserved.
Voltage on Figueroa, the street is charged. West Coast current running extra large. Talkbox amplified to maximum power. Voltage on Figueroa, the finest hour. Bass frequency conducting through the block. Voltage on Figueroa, around the clock. Walk down Figueroa and feel the voltage rise. West Coast electricity beneath the skies. Every building on the block conducting the groove. Voltage on Figueroa, locked into the move. Talkbox wide into the boulevard line. Voltage on Figueroa, the most divine. P-funk current running through the concrete. Voltage on Figueroa, the finest beat. Brothers generating in the studio space. Voltage on Figueroa, the most sacred place. Drum machine, the generator of the night. Voltage on Figueroa, burning fever bright. Center oscillator charged and ready to go. Voltage on Figueroa, the finest show on the West Coast Boulevard, electric and free. Voltage on Figueroa, just let it be. Voltage on Figueroa, the street is charged. West Coast current running extra large. Talkbox amplified to maximum power. Voltage on Figueroa, the finest hour. Bass frequency conducting through the block. Voltage on Figueroa, around the clock. Midday on Figueroa and the voltage peaks. Voltage on Figueroa, this is what it speaks. Every storefront charged with the West Coast sound. Voltage on Figueroa, the most profound. Talkbox operator at the circuit board. Voltage on Figueroa, the musical reward. West Coast electricity in the afternoon. Voltage on Figueroa, rising like the moon. Keyboard player at the charge progression. Voltage on Figueroa, carrying the session. Brothers on the block feeling the current flow. Voltage on Figueroa, the finest glow. Bass frequency conducting through the heat. Voltage on Figueroa, making music complete. P-funk science in the electrical chain. Voltage on Figueroa, running through the rain. Between the positive and negative poles. Voltage on Figueroa, feeding all the soul. West Coast current stable and direct. Voltage on Figueroa, the finest effect. Evening in the voltage settles on the street. Voltage on Figueroa, still feeling the heat. Street lights charged with the West Coast groove. Voltage on Figaro. Locked into the move, talk box humming into the evening charge. Voltage on Figaro. Running extra large, brothers walking home with the current in they step. Voltage on Figaro. A promise always kept. Bass frequency, the last pulse of the night. Voltage on Figaro. Coding everything right. Beat funk ancestors in the electrical grid. Voltage on Figaro. The finest thing they did. West Coast music charged and always on. Voltage on Figaro. The night carries on from the substation to the amplifier's heart. Voltage on Figaro. The finest stars. Voltage on Figaro. The street is charged. West Coast current running extra large. Talk box amplified to maximum power. Voltage on Figaro. The finest hour. Bass frequency conducting through the block. Voltage on Figaro. Around the clock. Voltage fading as the night grows deep. Voltage on Figaro. A promise we keep. West Coast electricity never fully off. Voltage on Figaro. The finest scarf. At anything that says the groove is done. Always on the run.
There's a mesa, a plateau of sound. Mesa wind, feet down a ray, the most profound. Wind across the flatlands, carrying the tone.
Mesa wind,
we are never alone. She was singing somewhere on the plateau's edge.
Mesa wind,
standing on the ledge between the valley and the sky above.
Mesa wind,
the finest form of love. Talk box resonating in the mesa air.
Mesa wind,
beyond all compare. Brothers on the plateau building something real.
Mesa wind,
the finest feel.
A West Coast music in the open space. Mesa wind,
the most sacred place. Bass frequency, the bedrock of the song.
Mesa wind,
this is where we belong.
Mesa wind, blowing through the groove. West Coast plateau locked into the move.
Her voice the current in the desert air.
Mesa wind,
a sound beyond compare.
Talk box wailing on the mesa high. Mesa wind,
reaching for the sky.
Afternoon and the mesa wind picks up. Mesa wind,
the most beautiful cup of
West Coast music poured across the land. Mesa wind,
just as it was planned.
she was harmonizing with the desert heat. Mesa wind,
making music sweet.
together on the plateau standing strong. Mesa wind, carrying the sun
out across the basin to the sea.
Mesa wind,
setting music free. Keyboard player reading from the land.
Mesa wind,
the finest band
in the open country of the West. Mesa wind,
passing every test. Drum machine, the heartbeat of the mesa ground.
Mesa wind,
the most beautiful sound.
Mesa wind, blowing through the groove. West Coast plateau locked into the move.
Her voice the current in the desert air.
Mesa wind,
a sound beyond compare.
talk box wailing on the mesa high. Mesa wind,
reaching for the sky.
between the canyon and the open plain. Mesa wind,
Carrying the
a
rain.
music over the plateau of the West.
Mesa wind.
slows down. Mesa wind,
the most beautiful sound as the temperature drops on the plateau face.
Mesa wind, the most sacred place.
She was singing something soft into the air,
Mesa wind,
beyond all compare. Talk box settling with the cooling night.
Mesa wind, holding everything right.
Bass frequency, the depth of the mesa stone.
Mesa wind, we are never alone.
Brothers gathering as the stars appear.
Mesa wind, a sound crystal clear.
A funk lineage in the plateau breeze.
Mesa wind, doing as it please.
West Coast music in the open sky.
A long and warm goodbye. Mesa wind, blowing through the groove. West Coast plateau, locked into the moon.
Her voice the current in the desert air.
Mesa wind, a sound beyond compare. Talk box wailing on the mesa high.
On the mesa high,
Mesa wind,
reaching for the sky. Wind settling as the mesa night arrives.
Mesa wind,
The music always survives.
West Coast plateau, quiet but alive. Mesa wind,
The groove will always thrive.
Oh, yeah. The analog covenant written in the wax. West Coast music, no going back. Talk box operator sealed the deal. The analog covenant, the most real agreement between the groove and the soul. The analog covenant, making musical terms and conditions. The bass must always reign. The analog covenant, written in the grain of every vinyl record ever pressed. The analog covenant, stand in every test. Talk box clause, communicate with truth. The analog covenant, the eternal proof that West Coast music made a sacred pact. The analog covenant, an undeniable fact. Brothers in the studio bound by the agreement. The analog covenant, total commitment. P-Funk lineage is the founding side natery. The analog covenant, the most sacred stories. Drum machine, the rhythm of the binding contract. The analog covenant, keeping everything intact. Bass frequency, the weight of the covenant seal. The analog covenant, the finest feel. The analog covenant, written in the wax. West Coast music, no going back. Talk box operator sealed the deal. The analog covenant, the most real agreement between the groove and the soul. The analog covenant, making music whole. Ratified by every session late and deep. The analog covenant, a promise we keep. West Coast musicians bound to the ancient law. The analog covenant, without a flaw. Synth lead, the signature ascending high. The analog covenant, reaching for the sky. Keyboard player signing every chord. The analog covenant, the musical reward. Brothers witnessing what the ancestors wrote. The analog covenant, the finest note in the long history of the West Coast sound. The analog covenant, the most profound document ever drafted in the studio. The analog covenant, everything we know. West Coast music's most sacred arrangement. The analog covenant, the finest engagement. Between the past and present, there is the covenant. The analog covenant, the most reverent agreement that the groove will never die. The analog covenant, reaching for the sky. Evening in the covenant holds firm. The analog covenant at every turn. Bass frequency, the final witness to the pact. The analog covenant.
Keeping music intact, talk box resonating through the covenant night.
The analog covenant.
Holding everything right, brothers in the craft honoring what was made.
The analog covenant.
Nothing going to fade. P-Funk heritage as the covenant foundation.
The analog covenant.
The West Coast nation, every session enact the covenant renewal.
The analog covenant.
The most beautiful thing that West Coast music ever swore.
The analog covenant.
Forevermore in the groove, the covenant lives and breathes.
The analog covenant.
It never leaves.
The analog covenant written in the wax.
West Coast music,
No going back. Talk box operator seal the deal. The analog covenant, the most real
agreement between the groove and the soul.
The analog covenant, making music whole.
Covenant renewed as the session ends.
The analog covenant,
Around all the bends. West Coast music down to the ancient path.
the analog covenant, keeping nothing back.
South of the standard, north of the truth, latitude blues, the eternal proof. Something about this position in the groove. "34 degrees north, that's the West Coast line. Latitude blues, the most divine. Every degree of groove mapped on the face. Latitude blues, the most sacred place. Talk box humming at the coordinate true. Latitude blues, I'm thinking of you. P-Funk science in the geographic chain. Latitude blues, running through the rain. Brothers finding their position in the sound. Latitude blues, the most profound. Sub-bass at the 34th degree. Latitude blues, setting music free. Drum machine, the beat of the parallel. Latitude blues, the finest tale about the place where the groove was born. Latitude blues, beyond the norm. South of the standard, north of the truth. Latitude blues, the eternal proof. Something about this position in the groove. Latitude blues, measuring the soul. West Coast position, making music whole. Talk box operator at the 34. Latitude blues, holding down the fort. North and south, divided by the groove. Latitude blues, finding its own move. Afternoon at the West Coast coordinate. Latitude blues, the most ornate expression of the place where music lives. Latitude blues, everything it gives to those who know the position of the sound. Latitude blues, the most profound, sent lead at the exact degree. Latitude blues, the finest key to unlock the West Coast music chest. Latitude blues, passing every test. Keyboard player finding the right longitude. Latitude blues, the finest attitude. Brothers mapping what the ancestors found. Latitude blues, the most profound. West Coast position in the music scale. Latitude blues, the most beautiful tale between the parallels of what we know. Latitude blues, the finest show. West Coast position stated true and clear. Latitude blues,
Always right here.
evening and the latitude grows still. Latitude blues, beyond every hill. Bass frequency at the position deep. Latitude blues, a promise we keep. Talk box echoing across the coordinate. Latitude blues, the most ornate thing that West Coast music ever said about the place where the groove was bred. Brothers marking their position in the night. Latitude blues, holding everything right. P-Funk ancestors at the 34. Latitude blues, holding down the fort. West Coast music at its true address. Latitude blues, nothing more, nothing less than the groove at the exact position found. Latitude blues, the most profound. Latitude measuring the soul. West Coast position, making music whole. Talk box operator at the 34th. Latitude blues, holding down the fort. North and south, divided by the groove. Latitude blues, finding its own move. Position fixed as the evening falls. Latitude blues, echoing down the halls. West Coast coordinate, always true. Latitude blues, dedicated to you.
She arrived with angles no one else could see. Talk box geometry, setting music free.
Talk box geometry,
Mapping out the soul,
West Coast angles,
making music whole.
Her voice, the hypotenuse.
cutting through the mix
Talk box geometry,
in its finest tricks.
Angles, arcs,
and frequencies align.
Talk box geometry,
the most refined.
Right angle of the bass against the melody,
talk box geometry,
the finest remedy for anything that lacks precision in the groove.
talk box geometry,
Locked into the move, she was calculating in the vocal range.
talk box
Geometry
geometry,
familiar yet strange, acute and obtuse angles in the chord progression,
talk box geometry,
carrying the lesson. Brothers drawing vectors in the studio space,
talk box geometry,
the most sacred place. Every interval a geometric truth,
talk box geometry,
the most eternal proof. P-Funk lineage in the angle it changed,
talk box geometry,
running through the rain. Her voice a perfect arc across the mix,
talk box geometry,
and its analog tricks,
talk box geometry,
mapping out the soul,
West Coast angles,
making music whole. Her voice the hypotenuse,
cutting through the mix,
talk box geometry,
and its finest tricks. Angles, arcs,
and frequencies align.
talk box geometry, the most refined.
Parallel progressions running side by side.
Talk box geometry,
The West Coast guide, she was tracing arcs across the frequency range,
talk box geometry,
beyond all the strange. Ordinary music in its formless ways,
talk box geometry,
beyond the haze. Perpendicular bass line to the melody,
talk box geometry,
the finest remedy. Keyboard player at the geometric chord,
talk box geometry,
the musical reward. Brothers in the studio calculating the sign.
talk box geometry,
The most divine. Her voice a tangent touching at the perfect point,
talk box geometry,
the most sacred joint. West Coast mathematics in the talk box are
talk box geometry.
the finest star.
In the intersection of our voices, there is a point,
Talk box geometry,
the most sacred joint,
her angle and mine.
forming something complete,
Talk box geometry,
making music sweet.
even in the geometry holds true.
Talk box geometry,
I'm thinking of you, bass frequency at the base of the triangle,
talk box geometry,
beyond all the mangled. Ordinary music in its shapeless form,
talk box geometry,
beyond the norm. Talk box resonating through the geometric night,
talk box geometry,
holding everything right. Her voice descending on the arc to rest,
talk box geometry,
passing every test. Brothers marking the final angle in the log,
talk box geometry,
through the morning fog. Funk science in the most geometric form,
talk box geometry,
setting the norm. West Coast music shaped by invisible hands
talk box geometry,
across all the lands.
talk box geometry,
mapping out the soul,
West Coast angles,
making music whole. Her voice, the hypotenuse,
cutting through the mix,
talk box geometry,
and its finest tricks. Angles, arcs,
and frequencies align.
talk box geometry.
The most refined angles resolving as the session ends.
Talk box geometry.
Around every band,
West Coast music.
shaped into something true,
Talk box geometry.
dedicated to you.
The sub bass. The sub bass oracle, speaking from the deep. West Coast prophecy, a promise we keep. Talk box as the vessel of the ancient word. The sub bass oracle, the finest thing heard. Bass frequency, the language of the prophets. The sub-bass oracle, paying all the profit. Deep beneath the surface of the groove there speaks the sub-bass oracle. The thing it seeks is the truth of what the West Coast always was. The sub-bass oracle, the finest cause. Talk box operator channeling the low end. The sub-bass oracle, sending the message. Brothers in the studio listening to the deep. The sub-bass oracle, a promise we keep. P-Funk ancestors speaking through the bass. The sub-bass oracle, the most sacred space. Every prophecy delivered in sub-bass tone. The sub-bass oracle, we are not alone. Drum machine, the ceremonial rhythm of the call. The sub-bass oracle, encompassing all. Synth pad hovering above the oracle sound. The sub-bass oracle, the most profound. The sub-bass oracle, speaking from the deep. West Coast prophecy, a promise we keep. Talk box as the vessel of the ancient word. The sub-bass oracle, the finest thing heard. Bass frequency, the language of the prophets. The sub-bass oracle, paying all the profit. Midday and the oracle speaks again. The sub-bass oracle, beyond all the pain of ordinary life and its shallow concerns. The sub-bass oracle, the thing that burns deep in the chest when the bass hits right. The sub-bass oracle, burning fever bright. Talk box translating what the oracle says. The sub-bass oracle, the most sacred phrase. West Coast music as a prophetic tradition. The sub-bass oracle, the finest mission. Brothers gather to receive the oracle's word. The sub-bass oracle, the finest thing heard. Keyboard player accompanying the prophecy. The sub-bass oracle, the finest key to understanding what the groove always meant. The sub-bass oracle, totally content. Between the oracle's question and the groove's reply, the sub-bass oracle, reaching for the sky. West Coast music as a prophetic medium. The sub-bass oracle, the finest tedium of everyday life, broken by the bass. The sub-bass oracle, the most sacred space. Evening and the oracle makes his final call. The sub-bass oracle, encompassing all. Bass frequency, the deepest prophecy tall. The sub-bass oracle, the story never old. Talk box resonating through the oracle night. The sub-bass oracle, holding everything right. Brothers in the craft receiving the last word. The sub-bass oracle, the finest thing heard. P-Funk science is the prophetic framework. The sub-bass oracle, the finest landmark in the landscape of the West Coast sound. The sub-bass oracle, the most profound. West Coast music's most oracular moment. The sub-bass oracle, the finest component of everything the groove has ever meant. The sub-bass oracle, totally content. Sub-bass oracle, speaking from the deep. West Coast prophecy, a promise we keep. Talk box as the vessel of the ancient word. The sub-bass oracle, the finest thing heard. Bass frequency, the language of the prophets. The sub-bass oracle, paying all the profits. Oracle silent as the session fades to black.
The sub-bass oracle, never looking back. Yeah. West Coast prophecy, preserved in the groove. The sub-bass oracle, forever in the mood.
Shuffle on the meridian, the groove moves sideways. Meridian shuffle through the midweek haze. East and west divided by the shuffle beat. Meridian shuffle, making music sweet. Talk box operator at the prime coordinate. Meridian shuffle, nothing short of great. P-funk lineage in the shuffle pattern D. Meridian shuffle, a promise we keep. Brother sliding on the meridian line. Meridian shuffle, the most divine way to cross from one side to the other. Meridian shuffle, every sister and every brother. Drum machine shuffle at the 0 degree. Meridian shuffle, setting music free. Bass frequency, the anchor of the slide. Meridian shuffle, the West Coast guy. Meridian shuffle, sliding across the line. West Coast movement, the most divine. Talk box operator in the shuffle groove. Meridian shuffle, locked into the move. 0 degree of the funk and soul. Meridian shuffle, making music whole. Midday and the meridian shuffle speeds. Meridian shuffle, giving what it needs to the brothers and the sisters on the floor. Meridian shuffle, always wanting more. Scent lid shuffling through the upper range. Meridian shuffle, familiar yet strange. West Coast latitude in the shuffle step. Meridian shuffle, the finest concept. Keyboard player at the shuffle chord. Meridian shuffle, the musical reward. Brothers crossing back and forth the line. Meridian shuffle, the most divine. Bass frequency, the ground beneath the slide. Meridian shuffle, the West Coast guide through the geography of the groove and soul. Meridian shuffle, making music whole. Meridian shuffle, sliding across the line. West Coast movement, oh, the most divine. Talk box operator in the shuffle groove. Meridian shuffle, locked into the move. 0 degree of the funk and soul. Meridian shuffle, making music whole. Between the east side and the west side of the beat. Meridian shuffle, making music complete. The shuffle crosses every boundary known. Meridian shuffle, the finest tone. Evening and the meridian shuffle slow. Meridian shuffle, where the music goes into the cool of the West Coast night. Meridian shuffle, holding everything right. Talk box humming as the shuffle winds down. Meridian shuffle, the finest sound. Brother sliding home on the meridian line. Meridian shuffle, the most divine. Bass frequency, the last shuffle of the night. Meridian shuffle, burning fever bright. P-funk science in the shuffle's final bar. Meridian shuffle, reaching for a star. West Coast music in its most fluid form. Meridian shuffle, beyond the norm. As the session ends, the shuffle remains. Meridian shuffle, running through the veins. Meridian shuffle, sliding across the line. West Coast movement, oh, the most divine. Talk box operator in the shuffle groove. Meridian shuffle, locked into the move. 0 degree of the funk and soul. Meridian shuffle, making music whole. Shuffle settle in as the night draws near. Meridian shuffle, always right here. West Coast groove in its most lateral form. gospel.
The signal sets you free.
West Coast frequency,
Tune to the key.
Talkbox preacher,
Broadcasting from the hill.
Oscillator gospel.
The waveform standing still.
Bass and oscillating at the perfect rate. Oscillator gospel.
Nothing left to fate.
Sunday morning, the oscillator warms. West Coast signal rising through the storms. Every sound wave carries something sacred in its curve.
Oscillator gospel.
More than we deserve. Talkbox congregation gathered at the sign.
Oscillator gospel.
The most divine. Brothers tuning in from up and down the coast. This frequency is what we love the most. P-Funk lineage in the overtone cascade.
Oscillator gospel.
Nothing's gonna fade. An alarm spreading through the speakers wide.
Oscillator gospel.
The West Coast guy. Drum machine caving steady as a song.
Oscillator gospel.
Keeping us calm. Bass frequencies, the deepest form of prayer.
Oscillator gospel.
Music everywhere.
Oscillator gospel.
The signal sets you free.
West Coast frequency.
Tune to the key.
Talkbox preacher.
Broadcasting from the hill.
Oscillator gospel.
The waveform standing still.
Bass and oscillating at the perfect rate. Oscillator gospel.
Nothing left to fade.
Midday, and the oscillator peaks.
Oscillator gospel.
This is what it speaks. Every harmonic a verse in the song.
Oscillator gospel.
Where we all belong. Talkbox operator on the frequency. West Coast science setting the decree that music is the highest form of law.
Oscillator gospel.
Without a flaw. Brothers in the studio adjusting every way.
Oscillator gospel.
Beyond the grave for what they said was possible before.
Oscillator gospel.
Opening every door. Stick back, ascending through the afternoon.
Oscillator gospel.
Rising like the moon. West Coast signal broadcasting faith and truth.
Oscillator gospel.
Carrying the proof.
Between the frequencies there is a sacred space. Oscillator gospel.
The most holy place.
Where the sine wave meets the square wave in the mix.
Oscillator gospel.
The finest fix. Evening, and the oscillator slows.
Oscillator gospel.
Where the music goes into the night like a frequency descending.
Oscillator gospel.
The most transcending thing that West Coast music ever made.
Oscillator gospel.
Nothing gonna fade. Talkbox winding down with the setting sun.
Oscillator gospel.
The work is never done. Brothers carrying the signal in the sleep.
Oscillator gospel.
A promise that we keep bass frequency. The last wave of the night.
Oscillator gospel.
Holding everything right. P-Funk ancestors broadcasting from above.
Oscillator gospel.
The purest form of love. West Coast frequency internal in the air.
Oscillator gospel.
Beyond all compare.
Oscillator gospel.
The signal sets you free. West Coast frequency. Tune to the key. Talkbox preacher. Broadcasting from the hill.
Oscillator gospel.
The waveform standing still.
Bass and oscillating at the perfect rate. Oscillator gospel.
Nothing left to fade.
Let the oscillator rest as the night arrives.
Oscillator gospel.
The groove survives.
West Coast freak, no fading into dawn.
Oscillator gospel.
The music carries on.
Gravity West.
The pull toward the groove.
West Coast force field.
Locked into the move.
Talkbox operator.
feeling the attraction.
Gravity West.
The finest satisfaction. Bass frequency, the gravitational core.
Gravity West.
Always wanting more.
Mass and distance, that's the West Coast law.
Gravity West.
Without a flaw, every note attracted to the bass foundation.
Gravity West.
The finest sensation. Talk box pulled toward the lowest frequency.
Gravity West.
Broadcasting with ease. P-Funk science in the gravitational field.
Gravity West.
What the music revealed.
Brothers in the studio feeling the pull.
Gravity West.
Making music for drum machine, the densest body in the mix.
Gravity West.
And its analog tricks, synth lead orbiting around the bass.
Gravity West.
Finding its own place. West Coast music with the gravitational core.
Gravity West.
Always wanting more.
Gravity West.
The pull toward the groove. West Coast force field. Locked into the move. Talk box operator. Feeling the attraction.
Gravity West.
The finest satisfaction. Bass frequency, the gravitational core.
Gravity West.
Always wanting more.
Afternoon and the gravity intensifies.
Gravity West.
Beneath California skies, every element drawn toward the center.
Gravity West.
The finest mental of how the West Coast music holds together.
Gravity West.
In any weather, keyboard player orbiting the core.
Gravity West.
The musical reward, brothers caught in the gravitational field.
Gravity West.
The groove revealed, West Coast mass attracting all the sound.
Gravity West.
The most profound
Force that holds the music in its place.
Gravity West.
the most sacred space. Talk box falling toward the lowest note.
Gravity West.
The finest quote.
In the field between the high notes and the low.
Gravity West.
The finest show. West Coast force that bends the melody line.
Gravity West.
The most
Evening and the gravity settles in.
Gravity West.
Where does it begin? At the center of the West Coast groove.
Gravity West.
Locked into the move. Bass frequency, the gravitational truth.
Gravity West.
The most eternal proof. Talk box resonating in the field.
Gravity West.
The groove revealed. Brothers
in the orbit of the sound.
Gravity West.
the most profound. P-Funk ancestors in the gravity well.
Gravity West.
The finest thing to tell. West Coast music held by its own weight.
Gravity West.
Nothing left to fake. As the session as the gravity remains.
Gravity West.
Running through the veins.
Gravity West.
The pull toward the groove.
West Coast force field.
Locked into the move. Talk box operator. Feeling the attraction.
Gravity West.
The finest satisfaction. Bass frequency, the gravitational core.
Gravity West.
Always wanting more.
Gravity.
Settling as the session ends.
Gravity West.
Around every bend. West Coast force field. Holding music true.
Gravity West.
Dedicated to you.
Follow the protocol.
When the canyon calls,
West Coast procedure.
echoing down the walls.
The Canyon Protocol.
The rules of the deep.
Enter the canyon with the proper frequency. The Canyon Protocol, broadcasting with ease. Rule 1, the bass must lead the way in. The Canyon Protocol, let the groove begin. Rule 2, the talk rock speaks with reverence. The Canyon Protocol, the finest reference to how the West Coast music enters deep. The Canyon Protocol, a promise we keep. Rule 3, respect the echo and the resonance. The Canyon Protocol, the finest evidence that West Coast music knows its own terrain. The Canyon Protocol, running through the rain. Brothers following the protocol with care. The Canyon Protocol, music everywhere. Drum machine, the cadence of the canyon flow. The Canyon Protocol, always wanting more. Follow the protocol when the canyon calls. West Coast procedure, echoing down the walls. The Canyon Protocol, the rules of the deep. The Canyon Protocol, enter with respect. West Coast procedure, the finest effect. Talk box resonating off the canyon wall. The Canyon Protocol, answering the call. Bass echo deep in the canyon's heart. The Canyon Protocol, the finest art. Midday, sun descending in the canyon floor. The Canyon Protocol, always wanting more. Every note obeying the acoustic law. The Canyon Protocol, without a flaw. Scent lead following the canyon's natural curve. The Canyon Protocol, more than we deserve. Keyboard player reading from the canyon map. The Canyon Protocol, never looking back. Brothers in the session, entering with protocol. The Canyon Protocol, encompassing all. West Coast acoustics in the natural step. The Canyon Protocol, the groove is great. Talk box swelling from the canyon's edge. The Canyon Protocol, standing on the ledge of everything that West Coast music means. The Canyon Protocol, the finest scenes between the canyon walls. The protocol is clear. The Canyon Protocol, always right here. West Coast music, following the ancient rules. The Canyon Protocol, the finest school. Evening in the Canyon Protocol maintained. The Canyon Protocol, never fully explained, but felt in every echo off the stone. The Canyon Protocol, we are not alone. Bass frequency, the canyon's lowest tone. The Canyon Protocol, a world we've grown. Talk box resonating through the protocol night. The Canyon Protocol, holding everything right. Brothers observing every rule and form. The Canyon Protocol, setting the norm. P-Funk science in the canyon's acoustic frame. Protocol, always the same. West Coast music following the protocol true. The Canyon Protocol, dedicated to you. As the session ends and the canyon falls still. The Canyon Protocol, beyond every hill. The Canyon Protocol, enter with respect. West Coast procedure, the finest effect. Talk box resonating off the canyon wall. The Canyon Protocol, answering the call. Bass echo deep in the canyon's heart. The Canyon Protocol, the finest art. Protocol complete as the evening fades. The Canyon Protocol, through all the decades. West Coast music following the ancient way. The Canyon Protocol, heard every day.
In the space between the particles of sound, dark matter groove, the most profound.
You can't see it, but you feel the pull.
Dark matter groove,
Making music full, invisible, yet bending everything.
Scientists can't see it, but they know it's there. Dark matter groove, floating through the air. Invisible mass in the musical space. Dark matter groove, the most sacred place. Talk box operator on the unseen frequency. Dark matter groove, broadcasting with ease. P-Funk science in the invisible zone. Dark matter groove, we are not alone. Every bar surrounded by the unseen mass. Dark matter groove, the finest class of West Coast physics married to the funk. Dark matter groove, riding in the trunk. Brothers
Brothers calculating what they cannot see. Dark matter groove, setting music free. Drum machine the visible, bass the dark. Dark matter groove, the finest spark.
You can't see it, but you feel the pull.
Dark matter groove,
Making music full. Invisible.
yet bending everything.
Dark matter groove, bending the baseline.
Visible force in the G-Funk design.
Talk box waving in the unseen field.
Dark matter groove, the groove revealed.
West Coast physics in the funk line.
Dark matter groove, the most divine. Midday and the dark matter intensifies. Dark matter groove beneath California skies. Every note surrounded by the invisible force. Dark matter groove staying on its course. Synth pad vibrating in the dark matter field. Dark matter groove, what the science revealed. Brothers in the studio detecting the unseen. Dark matter groove, the finest thing ever seen. West Coast physics in the production chain.
Dark matter groove,
running through the rain. Keyboard player touching the invisible key.
dark matter groove,
The finest expertise. Bass frequency bending in the dark matter well.
dark matter groove,
The finest thing to tell about the nature of the West Coast sound.
dark matter groove.
The most profound.
Between the visible notes, there is the dark. Dark matter groove, the finest spark. The invisible mass
Of the groove we feel.
dark matter groove.
The most real. Evening in the dark matter settles in. Dark matter groove. Where does it begin and where does it end? That's the mystery. Dark matter groove beyond all history. Talk box resonating in the dark matter space. Dark matter groove, the most sacred place. Brothers in the groove, feeling the pull. Dark matter groove, making music full. P-Funk ancestors in the dark matter cloud.
Dark matter groove,
Speaking to the crowd. Even in the silence there is something more.
dark matter groove,
The one we're living for.
dark matter groove, bending the baseline.
Invisible force in the G-Funk design.
Dark box waving in the unseen field.
Dark matter groove, the groove revealed.
West Coast physics in the funk line.
Dark matter groove, the most divine. Dark matter
Settling,
as the session ends. Dark matter groove around every bend. West Coast physics in the music true. Dark matter groove, the finest breakthrough. The Valley equation laid out on the board. West Coast mathematics, every note a chord. Variable for the bass, coefficient for the synth. The Valley equation, more than just a myth. Talk box operator solving for the unknown. The Valley equation standing on its own. P-Funk function on the right-hand side. The Valley equation, the West Coast guy. Brothers in the studio setting up the proof. The Valley equation, raising up the roof. Every session a variable to solve. The Valley equation, helping us evolve. Drum machine, the constant in the formula. The Valley equation, the finest scholar of West Coast music and its natural laws. The Valley equation, the finest clause. The Valley equation, solve for the groove. West Coast mathematics locked into the move. Talk box operator, holding every sign. The Valley equation, the most divine. Basin and range, expressed in synth and bass. The Valley equation, finest
finding its own place. Afternoon, and the equation deepens now. Valley equation showing us how to find a groove beneath the surface noise. Valley equation giving us our voice. Simply the variable ascending high. The valley equation reaching for the sky. Brothers calculating in the afternoon sun. The valley equation, the work is never done. Keyboard player substituting chord for chord. The valley equation finding its reward. West Coast Valley, where the music lives. The valley equation, everything it gives. Bass frequency, the constant that remains. The valley equation, running through the veins of the music in the valley and the sound. The valley equation, the most profound. The valley equation, solve for the groove. West Coast mathematics locked into the move. Talk box operator, holding every sign. The valley equation, the most divine. Bass and range, expressed in synth and bass. The valley equation, finding its own place. In the valley between the high and low notes, the valley equation is the thing that floats, solving for the soul of the West Coast sound. The valley equation, the most profound. Even the equation finally resolved. The valley equation, the mystery dissolves into the warm conclusion of the groove. The valley equation, finding its true move. Sub bass resonating in the valley floor. The valley equation, always wanting more. Talk box echoing off the valley walls. The valley equation, down the studio halls. Brothers marking QED in the session log. The valley equation, through the morning fog. P-Funk science, the most elegant proof. The valley equation, holding every truth. West Coast bass and stretching to the sea. The valley equation, setting music free as the night descends. The equation stands complete. The valley equation, making music sweet. The valley equation, solve for the groove. West Coast mathematics locked into the move. Talk box operator, holding every sign. The valley equation, the most divine. Bass and range, expressed in synth and bass. Oh, the valley equation, finding its own place. Variables resolve as the studio falls still. The valley equation, beyond every hill. West Coast mathematics, standing true. The valley equation, dedicated to you.
The Pacific holds everything we left behind. Pacific inheritance.
The finest find.
Pacific inheritance,
What the ocean kept,
West Coast legacy.
a promise we've wept. Her voice, the tide returning what was lost
Pacific inheritance,
at any cost. Talk box carrying the message from the deep,
Pacific inheritance,
a promise we keep. Everything the Pacific received in time,
Pacific inheritance,
the most sublime gift returned to those who stand at the shore,
Pacific inheritance,
always wanting more. She was singing what the ocean gave back,
Pacific inheritance,
never looking back. Talk box voice the medium of the sea,
Pacific inheritance,
setting music free. Brothers gathering what the water preserved,
Pacific inheritance,
more than we deserve. P-Funk lineage in the Pacific tide,
Pacific inheritance,
the West Coast guide. Bass frequency, the depth of what was kept,
Pacific inheritance,
while the city slept. Every note the ocean handed back to us,
Pacific inheritance,
beyond all the fuss.
oh, Pacific inheritance,
What the ocean kept,
West Coast legacy,
a promise we've wept. Her voice, the tide
returning what was lost
Pacific inheritance.
at any cost. Talkbox carrying the message from the deep,
Pacific inheritance.
a promise we keep. She arrived carrying the ocean's gift,
Pacific inheritance.
giving us a lift out of ordinary music into something true,
Pacific inheritance.
dedicated to you. Her voice, the vessel of the coastal inheritance,
Pacific inheritance.
the finest reference to everything the West Coast music meant.
Pacific inheritance.
Totally content, together holding what the tide returned.
Pacific inheritance.
The thing we earned, keyboard player at the Pacific chord,
Pacific inheritance.
the musical reward. Brothers standing at the shoreline of the sound,
Pacific inheritance.
the most profound thing that the Pacific ever gave,
Pacific inheritance.
beyond the wave.
Between the sending and the giving back,
Pacific inheritance,
the finest track of what the ocean held in trust for us.
Pacific inheritance,
Beyond the fuss, her voice and mine receiving what was kept.
Pacific inheritance.
The finest gift.
Evening and the inheritance complete,
Pacific inheritance.
making music sweet, bass frequency, the depth of all received,
Pacific inheritance.
beyond what we believe. Talkbox resonating with the ocean's gift,
Pacific inheritance.
giving us a lift. Her voice ascending with the evening tide.
Pacific inheritance.
The West Coast guy, brothers in the studio receiving what was kept,
Pacific inheritance.
while the city slept. P-Funk, science, and the inherited tone.
Pacific inheritance.
We are not alone. West Coast music carrying the ocean's trust,
Pacific inheritance.
the finest must for everyone who stands upon this shore,
Pacific inheritance.
forevermore.
Pacific inheritance.
What the ocean kept,
West Coast legacy.
a promise we've wept. Her voice, the tide returning what was lost
Pacific inheritance.
at any cost. Talkbox carrying the message from the deep,
Pacific inheritance.
a promise we keep. Inheritance received as the evening falls,
Pacific inheritance.
echoing down the halls
West Coast music.
in the ocean's gift.
Pacific inheritance. The finest lift.
Crenshaw vector, pointing toward the groove. West Coast direction, locked into the move. Her voice the compass, heading straight and true. Crenshaw vector,
Heading straight to you.
talkbox pointing on the boulevard line. Crenshaw vector, the most divine. Direction and magnitude, that's the vector way. Crenshaw vector. On the boulevard today, every bar has magnitude and direction.
Crenshaw vector.
The finest selection, bass frequency pointing deep and low.
Crenshaw vector.
The finest show, brothers plotting vectors on the session map.
Crenshaw vector.
Never looking back. P-Funk influencing the directional flow.
Crenshaw vector.
The thing we know, talkbox operator at the vector tip.
Crenshaw vector.
The finest trip down the boulevard where the music lives.
Crenshaw vector.
Everything it gives, sent lead pointing toward the horizon wide.
Crenshaw vector.
The West Coast guy,
Crenshaw vector.
oh, pointing toward the groove. Oh, West Coast direction, locked into the move. Ooh, her voice the compass, heading straight and true. Crenshaw vector,
heading straight to you.
Talk box pointing on the boulevard line. Crenshaw Vector, the most divine.
She arrived with a vector, all her own.
Crenshaw Vector,
She was not alone. Her voice, the magnitude of something real.
Crenshaw Vector,
The finest feel, together pointing toward the same horizon.
Crenshaw Vector,
Constantly arising in the music, in the boulevard and the night.
Crenshaw Vector,
Holding everything right. Keyboard player setting up the vector field.
Crenshaw Vector,
What the groove revealed. West Coast direction in the analog chain.
Crenshaw Vector,
Running through the rain. Her voice ascending on the vector line.
Crenshaw Vector,
The most divine. Brothers tracking vectors in the studio deep.
Crenshaw Vector,
Promise we keep
at the corner of direction and the magnitude.
Crenshaw Vector,
the finest attitude.
Her voice and mind pointing to the same place.
Crenshaw Vector,
The most sacred space. Evening in the vector still hold strong.
Crenshaw Vector,
This is our song, bass frequency pointing toward the night.
Crenshaw Vector,
The finest light. Talk box wailing in the vector field.
Crenshaw Vector,
The groove revealed. Her voice a finer pointing at the stars.
Crenshaw Vector,
Beyond all the bars, brothers in the craft maintaining vector true.
Crenshaw Vector,
Dedicated to you, P-Funk science in the directional chain.
Crenshaw Vector,
Beyond all the pain, West Coast Boulevard pointing toward the dawn.
Crenshaw Vector,
The music carries on, direction and magnitude preserved in sound.
Crenshaw Vector,
Forever bound.
Crenshaw Vector,
Pointing toward the groove.
West Coast direction,
Locked into the mood.
her voice the compass,
Heading straight and true.
Crenshaw Vector,
heading straight to you.
talk box pointing on the boulevard line. Crenshaw Vector,
The most divine.
Vectors dissolving as the evening falls. Crenshaw Vector echoing down the halls. West Coast direction standing true. Crenshaw Vector,
Always pointing to you.